The Wellington Energy boardroom fell silent as my father finished his presentation. And that's why we're investing another $500 million in our new coal plant project. Any questions? I raised my hand, already knowing how this would go. Dad, the environmental impact studies clearly show. Enough, Olivia. He cut me off. We're not here to discuss your little solar experiments. This is a serious business meeting. My brother Peter smirked from his VP chair. Yeah, Liv. Leave the real energy decisions to those of us who understand the industry. I bit back a response, thinking of the prototype waiting in my private lab. 3 years of research, countless sleepless nights, and breakthrough after breakthrough had led to something revolutionary. A new type of solar technology that could generate twice the power of conventional panels at half the cost. But to my family, it was just another hobby, like the wind turbine I built in high school or the geothermal system I designed in college. The future isn't fossil fuels, my father continued. These green energy fantasies are just that, fantasies. Wellington Energy has powered this country with coal for 3 generations, and will continue doing so for generations to come. Later in my father's office, he fixed me with a stern look. Olivia, you need to stop this environmental crusading. You're a Wellington. Start acting like one. Dad, please, just look at my research. The technology works. We could transform the entire energy sector. Enough. He slammed his hand on the desk. I've humored your little projects long enough. Either focus on real energy production or clean out your office. I stood up slowly. You're making a mistake. No, he said coldly. The mistake was letting you waste company resources on solar panels while your brother expanded our coal operations. Peter understands what this company needs. That night, I sat in my private lab surrounded by prototype panels and testing equipment. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Sarah Chen at the National Energy Research Institute. Olivia, the test results are extraordinary. Can you come to DC next week? Some people need to see this. I looked around at my life's work, then at the Wellington Energy logo on my office wall. Dad had given me this lab to keep me out of the way, while Peter ran the real business. He thought I was playing with science projects while they built their coal empire. What he didn't know was that I'd been quietly filing patents, working with research institutes, and developing something that would make coal obsolete. My phone buzzed again. Peter, this time, Dad's promoting me to COO. Maybe now you'll realize it's time to grow up and join the real world. I started packing my prototypes that night. The next morning, I handed in my resignation. This is ridiculous, my father exploded. You're throwing away your heritage for some green energy fantasy. No, I replied calmly. I'm building the future while you cling to the past. 2 years later, I sat in a different boardroom. This one at Nova Energy Solutions, the company I'd built from my hobby. Dr. Chen, now my chief research officer, burst in with exciting news. It's happening, she announced, waving a confidential government document. The Energy Commission is fast-tracking the new regulations. Fossil fuel plants will be phased out within 5 years. I smiled, thinking of Wellington Energy's 3 new coal plants still under construction. Have they reviewed the alternative energy proposals? Better, she grinned. Our technology is the only one that meets their new efficiency standards. Every other solar system falls short. My phone lit up with a news alert. Government announces aggressive clean energy timeline. Coal industry in crisis. I could imagine the chaos in Wellington Energy's boardroom right now. Their stock would be plummeting. Those new coal plants would become worthless. And Peter's brilliant expansion strategy would suddenly look like a multi-billion-dollar mistake. Ms. Wellington? My assistant appeared at the door. Your father's on line 1. He says it's urgent. I picked up the phone, thinking about all the times they dismissed my fantasy projects. About Peter's smirks and my father's condescension. About years of being the family disappointment while they destroy the environment for profit. Wellington speaking, I said coolly. How can Nova Energy Solutions help you today? The desperation in my father's voice was almost unrecognizable. Olivia, we need to meet. The government regulations. Our stock is in freefall. I'm quite busy, I replied. Nova Energy has been flooded with conversion requests since the announcement. Damn it, Olivia. This is family. Wellington Energy is your heritage. I thought about all the family dinners where they'd mocked my research. The board meetings where Peter had dismissed solar power as a tree hugger's pipe dream. The day my father had told me to grow up and forget my green energy fantasy. My heritage? I said quietly. You made it very clear that coal was the Wellington legacy. I'm just the daughter who played with solar panels, remember? There was a long pause. Please, he finally said. Just meet with us. I agreed to a meeting the next day, but not at Wellington Energy. They would come to Nova's headquarters, a sleek, solar-powered building that generated twice its own energy needs using my technology. When they arrived, both my father and Peter looked like they hadn't slept. Their perfectly tailored suits couldn't hide their desperation. The government's giving us 5 years to convert all operations to renewable energy, my father began without preamble. Every alternative energy system we've reviewed falls short of the new efficiency requirements. Except yours. I gestured to the wall of screens behind my desk, displaying Nova's global operations. Our technology isn't just more efficient, it's revolutionizing how we think about solar power. Peter leaned forward. We'll buy it. Name your price. Not for sale, I replied calmly. Don't be difficult, my father snapped, some of his old arrogance returning. You're still a Wellington. This is still family business. I stood up, walking to the window. Dr. Chen, would you join us, please? Sarah entered, carrying a thick folder. The latest conversion proposals. No, I smiled. Show them the old presentation. The one I tried to show the Wellington board 3 years ago. She laid out the documents, my original designs, the initial test results, the projections that had proven startlingly accurate. This technology could have been Wellington's, she explained. Olivia tried to give you the future of energy production. You chose coal instead. My father's face reddened. That was different. The research was incomplete. The research was revolutionary, Sarah cut in. Every major energy institute in the world has confirmed it. That's why Nova's technology is the only one approved under the new regulations. Peter slumped in his chair. The coal plants. We've invested billions. I know, I said. The same billions you could have invested in clean energy. But you were too busy mocking my little experiments to see the future coming. We can fix this, my father insisted. A merger. Wellington Energy can acquire Nova. No, I interrupted. Nova Energy Solutions isn't for sale. But we are accepting conversion clients. I handed them a contract. Standard rates. No family discount. They stared at the numbers. Converting their coal plants to my solar technology would cost more than Wellington Energy's entire market value. This would bankrupt us, Peter whispered. Then consider it the cost of ignoring innovation. I replied, you can sign with Nova, or you can watch Wellington Energy become obsolete. Your choice. You let the company fail, my father demanded. 3 generations of Wellington legacy. I thought about my own legacy, clean energy powering millions of homes, reducing carbon emissions, proving that profit and environmental responsibility could coexist. My legacy isn't Wellington Energy, I said quietly. It's what I built after you showed me exactly what I didn't want to become. Over the next year, I watched Wellington Energy transform. They had no choice. My technology was their only path to survival. Every coal plant they'd ridiculed me for opposing was converted to my solar systems. Every executive who dismissed green energy as a fantasy had to admit they'd been catastrophically wrong. Peter resigned, unable to face his role in the company's near destruction. My father stayed on as chairman, but everyone knew who really controlled Wellington's future now. The day we completed the last coal plant conversion, I stood with Sarah watching the old smokestacks come down. Remember when they called this a hobby? She asked, gesturing to the gleaming solar arrays that now powered the facility. I smiled, thinking of my father's words, start acting like a Wellington. I had, just not the kind of Wellington they expected. That evening, I received an invitation to speak at my old high school's career day. The topic? The future of energy, how one person's hobby changed an industry. I thought about the wind turbine I'd built in their science lab, the one Peter had called a toy. It still stood in the courtyard, now surrounded by my solar panels powering the entire school. The students needed to hear this story. They needed to know that sometimes the person they mock as a dreamer becomes the person who shapes reality. My father still calls sometimes, usually when Wellington's stock takes another hit. He always starts with the same phrase, if we had only listened. But I'm not interested in what ifs. I'm too busy building something bigger than Wellington Energy ever was. a global network of clean power that's making their coal plants look like relics of a darker age. Last week, Forbes ran a cover story, The Green Energy Revolution: How Nova Solutions Made Coal Obsolete. The article mentioned Wellington Energy only once, describing it as a former coal giant now dependent on Nova's technology. I sent copies to Peter and my father. No note needed. The headline said everything. Sometimes success isn't about proving them wrong. It's about being so right that they have no choice but to admit their mistakes. And sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying the family business, it's transforming it into something they were too short-sighted to imagine. As for my hobby, it's powering cities, saving the environment, and proving that the future belongs to those who dare to dream beyond the smoke and dust of the past. The next time someone tells you your ideas are just fantasies, remember this: every revolution starts with someone who refuses to accept the world as it is. Sometimes that someone is the person they least expect, the daughter with a hobby that changed the world.